Standing at the intersection of patience and abundance, a remarkable truth emerges for the dedicated gardener. Some of the most rewarding harvests require the least repeated effort. Perennial crops represent a profound shift in how a garden operates. Rather than exhausting cycles of tilling, replanting, and starting fresh each spring, these extraordinary plants establish deep root systems, return reliably each season, and deliver nutritious food year after year with remarkably little intervention. 9 such crops deserve serious attention from any gardener seeking a smarter, more sustainable approach. Each one offers its own unique combination of culinary value, nutritional depth, and low-maintenance resilience. Some well-known, others surprisingly overlooked even by experienced growers. The first plant on this journey is particularly extraordinary. Rare in most home gardens, yet astonishingly productive, it challenges everything conventional gardening wisdom tends to recommend. What follows is a complete exploration of perennial abundance, where less work genuinely yields more reward. Standing proudly among early spring harvests, rhubarb earns its place on this list through sheer reliability and longevity. Rheum rhubarbarum, as botanists know it, presents a striking visual in any garden. Enormous, deeply veined leaves unfurling above those signature crimson stalks, creating a bold architectural presence that few edible plants can match. What makes rhubarb genuinely remarkable from a botanical standpoint is its classification as a vegetable that the culinary world overwhelmingly treats as a fruit. Those vivid red stalks contain oxalic acid, which delivers that beloved tart flavor, yet the leaves themselves carry enough oxalic acid to be considered toxic, a fascinating chemical boundary nature has drawn within a single plant. Established crowns of Rheum rhubarbarum can remain productive for 10 years or more, requiring little beyond well-drained, organically rich soil and generous sunlight. Each crown deserves approximately 3 feet of space, as mature plants spread considerably over successive seasons. From an economic perspective, rhubarb rewards patience handsomely. A modest initial investment in crowns returns harvests annually, making it among the most cost-efficient perennial crops available to home gardeners. As a companion plant, rhubarb pairs well with brassicas, and its broad leaves naturally suppress surrounding weeds, reducing maintenance further. The first year demands patience. Harvesting is best avoided to allow root establishment, but seasons that follow offer generous early yields when little else has yet emerged. Coming in at number 8, another perennial powerhouse awaits. Standing apart from most garden crops, Helianthus tuberosus, commonly known as the Jerusalem artichoke or sunchoke, earns its place among the most underrated perennial vegetables in cultivation today. Despite its name, this plant has no connection to Jerusalem and no relation to the artichoke. It is in fact a native North American sunflower, and that heritage tells the whole story of its extraordinary toughness. Above ground, tall golden flower heads rise dramatically, often reaching 6 to 10 feet in height, painting the garden with bursts of late-season color. Below ground, the real reward waits, clusters of knobby, nutty tubers developing quietly through the growing season. What sets Helianthus tuberosus apart is its remarkable resilience. Poor soil, drought, neglect, conditions that would diminish most crops, barely register as challenges here. Plant the tubers 3 to 5 inches deep, space them 12 to 18 inches apart in a sunny spot, and the garden largely handles the rest. Harvests arrive in autumn, once the foliage begins to fade. The tubers offer a crisp, slightly sweet flavor, delicious roasted, sliced raw into salads, or prepared as a creamy soup. One important consideration: sunchokes spread with enthusiasm. A contained bed or a dedicated garden corner helps manage their exuberant nature across seasons. As companion plants, sunflowers and tall brassicas pair naturally alongside them, and their towering structure provides welcome wind protection for neighboring crops. Next, the chapter turns to another perennial powerhouse, one that feeds both the soil and the table in equal measure. Standing apart from flashier herbs, Allium scuneprasum, commonly known as chives, earns its place through quiet, steadfast reliability. This slender, grass-like perennial rises in tidy clumps, its hollow green stems reaching upward with graceful simplicity. Come late spring, it crowns itself with soft purple globe-shaped flowers, beautiful enough to rival any ornamental plant in the garden border. Botanically speaking, chives belong to the allium family, making them close relatives of garlic, onions, and leeks. That family connection explains the distinctive mild onion flavor that makes chives so remarkably versatile, equally at home atop a bowl of soup, folded through scrambled eggs, or scattered fresh across a summer salad. Chives prefer full sun but tolerate partial shade with ease. Rich, well-drained soil and spacing of roughly 8 inches apart gives each clump room to establish and multiply. For those without traditional garden beds, chives thrive beautifully in pots, containers, and even windowsill planters. Perhaps the greatest gift this humble herb offers is permanence. Planted once, chives return faithfully year after year, requiring minimal attention in exchange for a continuous harvest. And there is a generosity that extends beyond the kitchen. Those delicate purple blossoms attract bees and beneficial pollinators, quietly boosting productivity throughout the surrounding garden. Chives pair exceptionally well with carrots, tomatoes, and roses, deterring aphids naturally while adding beauty and fragrance nearby. Next, the garden introduces an herb of remarkable medicinal legacy and culinary tradition. Standing bold and unapologetic in the garden, horseradish, known botanically as Armoraceae rusticana, earns its place among the most resilient crops a gardener can grow. This thick, pale root carries a fierce, pungent heat, unlike anything else in the edible landscape. Above ground, it produces broad, deep green leaves that wave gently in summer breezes, handsome in their own rugged way. Below the surface, the real story unfolds. Those dense ivory roots push deeper and spread wider with each passing season, quietly multiplying without so much as a word of complaint. What makes horseradish remarkable from a botanical standpoint is its extraordinary regenerative capacity. Even the smallest fragment of root left in the soil will sprout anew. This is a plant that genuinely refuses to give up. In practical terms, horseradish thrives in full sun with loose, well-drained soil. Root cuttings planted at a slight angle, roughly 2 inches deep and 1 foot apart, establish quickly and confidently. Once settled, this crop asks for very little, only occasional watering during prolonged dry spells. The greater challenge becomes containment, as Armoraceae rusticana spreads aggressively when left unchecked. Dedicated beds or root barriers keep that enthusiasm productively managed. From a value standpoint, fresh horseradish root commands strong prices at farmers markets, making it a quietly profitable perennial investment. Next, a flowering perennial that attracts pollinators while suppressing weeds with remarkable efficiency. Standing apart from annual vegetables, Asparagus officinalis occupies a truly remarkable place in the garden, a perennial harvest that rewards patience with decades of abundance. The tender spears emerge each spring like clockwork, slender and upright, their tips tightly furled in that distinctive feathered crown. Left unharvested, those same spears unfurl into airy, fern-like foliage that can reach nearly 5 feet tall, swaying gracefully through summer and autumn. Here is the botanical distinction worth appreciating. Asparagus is dioecious, meaning individual plants are either male or female. Male plants, such as the popular Jersey series cultivars, produce no berries and therefore direct all their energy into more abundant, thicker spears, a detail that matters enormously at harvest time. Once established, crowns of Asparagus officinalis continue producing reliably for 15 to 20 years. That longevity transforms a single planting into one of the highest return investments a food garden can offer. Planting begins with 1-year-old crowns, set into a trench 12 inches wide and 6 to 8 inches deep, spaced approximately 18 inches apart. Full sun and well-drained soil are non-negotiable requirements. As a companion, tomatoes make an excellent neighbor, each plant repelling pests that trouble the other. The economic value compounds quietly over those 2 decades, delivering tender, gourmet-quality spears that command premium prices at any market. Next, the garden turns to a plant whose underground bounty has fed civilizations for thousands of years. Standing quietly in the garden bed, sorrel is the plant that time and again earns its place among the most rewarding perennial greens a gardener can cultivate. Known botanically as Rumex acetosa, this leafy green carries a distinctive bright, lemony flavor, the result of naturally occurring oxalic acid within its tender leaves. That crisp, almost citrus-like tang makes sorrel a remarkable ingredient in soups, silky sauces, fresh salads, and even smoothies. What sets sorrel apart from annual greens is its enduring nature. Each spring, without replanting, sorrel emerges reliably from the same root system, offering a steady harvest throughout the growing season, year after year. In the garden, sorrel thrives in full sun, yet tolerates partial shade with ease, making it exceptionally versatile across varied growing conditions. Well-drained soil enriched with generous compost provides the ideal foundation. Plants spaced 12 to 18 inches apart develop into full, productive clumps that require surprisingly little intervention. Once established, sorrel demands almost nothing. Consistent moisture during hot, dry stretches keeps the foliage lush and productive. Economically, a single planting delivers returns across many seasons, a rare combination of low maintenance and lasting abundance. As a companion plant, sorrel pairs well with strawberries and herbs, quietly contributing to a balanced, diverse planting scheme. Next, the garden reveals another overlooked perennial, one with roots as deep as its culinary reputation. Standing tall among the vegetable garden's finest, Cinara cardunculus var. Scolymus, the globe artichoke, earns its place as one of the most extraordinary edible perennials a gardener can cultivate. The visual presence alone commands attention. Towering stalks rise with architectural confidence, dressed in deeply lobed silvery green leaves that shimmer like brushed pewter in afternoon light. At their crown, large sculptural flower buds emerge, bold, rounded, and entirely edible, making the globe artichoke as much a garden showpiece as a productive food plant. What sets this species apart botanically is its remarkable longevity. A single well-established plant can yield harvests for 5 years or more, rewarding patients with generous returns season after season. For successful cultivation, globe artichokes demand full sun and deeply rich, well-drained soil. Spacing matters considerably here. Plants require roughly 3 feet between them, as mature specimens spread wide and tall, often reaching 6 feet in height. In cooler climates, seeds or offshoots benefit from an indoor start, with transplanting reserved until all frost danger has safely passed. In warmer Mediterranean-style regions, direct garden planting proves equally effective. Ongoing care centers on consistent moisture, generous feeding with a balanced fertilizer, and cutting spent stalks back in autumn to encourage vigorous spring regrowth. From an economic perspective, globe artichokes represent exceptional value, ornamental beauty, and edible abundance from a single long-lived investment. Next, another perennial wonder joins the list, one that thrives on neglect and returns faithfully every spring without fail. Standing among the garden's most rewarding fruit bearers, Vaccinium corymbosum, the highbush blueberry, earns its place as one of nature's most generous perennial gifts. These compact, deciduous shrubs offer more than seasonal beauty. Come summer, their slender branches bow gracefully beneath clusters of deep indigo berries, each one a concentrated source of antioxidants, vitamins C and K, and dietary fiber that few other garden fruits can rival. What makes blueberries botanically fascinating is their dependence on soil chemistry. Unlike most fruiting plants, they demand strongly acidic conditions, a pH between 4.5 and 5.5. Amending garden beds with peat moss or pine needles creates the precise environment their shallow, fibrous root systems need to truly flourish. Full sun is preferred, though partial shade is tolerated. Plants should be spaced 4 to 5 feet apart, and, critically, at least 2 distinct varieties must grow in proximity. Cross-pollination between cultivars dramatically increases both yield size and berry sweetness. Consistent moisture is essential, particularly during the fruiting window. A generous layer of pine bark mulch retains that moisture while gradually acidifying the surrounding soil, a dual benefit that rewards patient gardeners. A single well-tended blueberry bush can remain productive for 30 years or more, making the modest upfront investment one of the highest value decisions in edible landscaping. Excellent companions include rhododendrons and azaleas, plants that share the same acidic soil preferences, creating a cohesive, low-maintenance planting zone. Next, the garden turns its attention to another remarkably resilient perennial producer. Claiming the top spot on this list, walking onions, known botanically as Allium proliferum, stand apart from nearly every other edible plant in the garden world. Visually striking and wonderfully unusual, these upright, hollow-stemmed plants rise to roughly 2 or 3 feet, crowned not with flowers, but with dense clusters of small aerial bulbs called topsets. It is this remarkable feature that gives the walking onion its legendary reputation. As the topset clusters mature and grow heavy, the stalks arch gracefully downward, depositing those bulbs directly onto the soil surface. Given time and moisture, they root themselves, the plant quite literally walking across the garden, season after season, year after year. From a botanical standpoint, this is a masterclass in natural propagation. No seed required, no human intervention necessary. The plant engineers its own survival with quiet, persistent efficiency. Practically speaking, establishment is straightforward. A handful of starter bulbs, placed 6 inches apart in well-drained soil under full sun, is all that is needed. From that modest beginning, a self-sustaining colony emerges. Hardy, drought-tolerant, and largely pest-resistant, Allium proliferum delivers green tops, tender stalks, and flavorful bulbs across multiple harvests, representing exceptional value for the perennial garden. Paired beautifully alongside carrots and brassicas, walking onions earn their place at the very top. Standing at the heart of any truly sustainable garden lies a simple but profound idea: plant once and let the land do the rest. 9 remarkable perennial crops make that idea a living reality. Rhubarb, hardy and long-lived, anchors the garden through decades. Jerusalem artichokes, resilient and endlessly productive, ask for almost nothing in return. Chives, delicate yet tenacious, welcome pollinators season after season. Horseradish, bold and persistent, rewards patience with extraordinary depth of flavor. Asparagus, a classical crop with a harvest life measured in generations. Sorrel, zesty and underrated, offering bright leafy greens when little else stirs. Globe artichoke, as stunning as it is delicious. Blueberries, those antioxidant-rich beauties, sweetening the garden for decades. And walking onions, the self-planting wonder that seems to tend itself. Together, these 9 plants build something greater than a garden. They build a sustainable living larder, one that saves time, reduces cost, and quietly deepens its roots with every passing year. The harvest never truly stops. Neither does the reward.